Live. It's doing its thing.
Oh, yeah.
We are live. There it is.
We're live.
All right. Thank you for joining. Welcome to the first live episode of the Core podcast. Tonight, I guess, is going to be Rob from Virtual Flat CAD. He makes a lot of really cool things. He does a lot of like cool... this thing's doing something weird for me.
Oh,
Fixed.
Kirby.
He does a lot of cool like model of the day and cool animations. So this is our first live episode. It's episode 2. All of our episodes are filmed in front of a live studio audience. You just can't hear them because we're not that funny. Case in point. Well, I thought of that the whole day. Like I've been holding on to that one.
No, Kirby's like, I've got an amazing joke. Don't laugh at it. I'm like, yeah, it won't be very hard if you've bought it.
All right. Let us bring Rob in. Hey, Rob. How you doing?
There he is.
Hey, guys. What's going on?
Get rid of this banner because it's covering my face again. Like, this is all new. We're still trying to figure it out. We only figured out now that it doesn't go live automatically, and we got to do it ourselves.
Dude, put the banner back. We're going to lose views.
What?
I was kidding. Take it away.
I just want to let you guys know that, if you had me on, I would have ruined your joke because I legit laughed at it.
That's what I love about the green room in this, what we're using, is that I can just throw you off the side. I can, say whatever and you can't come back with it. But yeah. Welcome to our little podcast. It's a little idea that we had. Just got a little bit too drunk and came up with an idea and rolled with it. And here we are.
It's the same as all of our ideas.
Cheers to that.
Yeah. So like, the way we want to kind of do this is we're just a bunch of mates sitting around at a bar having a couple of drinks, catching up, talking about general life and kind of what we do and showing off the cool things that you make.
Yeah, sick.
Hang on, Kirby. I just need to interrupt. Hold your beer up, Rob. Is that a SolidWorks beer cozy?
It for sure is.
Man.
Representing.
Yeah, look at
the amount of beer we drink and we've not been given one.
I think we need to get hold of Sean.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's
someone is responsible.
Direct complaint to Sean right there.
Maybe I'll just, get a piece of paper and write SolidWorks on it, and then we look like we're sponsored.
Just wrap it around. Yeah, that's it. Perfect.
But yeah, Rob, you do a lot of cool things using SolidWorks, like cool animations and that kind of stuff. So, but let's go way back. Kind of, what got you into designing, and what got you into kind of working with SolidWorks or any other 3D modeling softwares that you use?
Yeah, so it all started back in 2016, and at that point, I was still a student, studying mechanical engineering, and I was kind of fighting through SolidWorks on my own at that time, and I just found that there was like no good tutorials. Like they were all so dry, just boring, incorrect in many cases. So I felt that there was a space for me there to try and show off, how I do different types of models. And my original YouTube channel, originally called the SolidWorks Nerd, since then changed, was born at that time. Also, shout outs to my friend Jeremy Grifsky. He also runs his own thing called the Renegade Coder. He was a computer engineer who just hung out with me, but he was the guy who was like egging me on to. It's like, okay, that's a cool gear or whatever, but how about you try and model something from Mario games or something like that? And I'm like, I can't. It's too complicated. It's like, yes, you can. And then it just kind of built into the first videos that you see on my channel, like the Aku Aku mask, Luma from Super Mario Galaxy. And that's how the ball started rolling at that point.
Yeah, I mean, when I studied product design, and we were being shown NX, which is now owned by Siemens, which is a very, very over-the-top complex engineering software for making products, simple things. So I was staying in like a communal house thing, and one of the guys that he was studying mechanical engineering, and he showed me SolidWorks, and I was like, damn, I have to get my hands on these. So he gave me his copy of his student version. I put that on my computer. I gave it a try, started fiddling around with it, and I made my first instead of using NX, I used SolidWorks. Showed it to the lecturers, like, damn, this is really good. How did you create these drawings and all these views and these renderings? And I was like, I don't even use your stuff. I use SolidWorks. So yeah, it's kind of, it was just kind of thrown there, and I just had to kind of figure my way out, figure my way around it, and kind of, I would challenge myself each time I would make a model.
Yeah.
And like, I found that always made me want to do more. So I mean, I don't know if you do that with your models. You try and push your limits.
Oh, absolutely. I try and push, my imagination. I try and push the software too. Like, there are some things that I've posted. I've talked with the SolidWorks Alpha team for motion studies, and they look at, for example, things I've done with ropes, and they're like, "How did you do that? What is the secret?" I literally had to invent the method of how to animate a rope, just like moving through a mechanical system. So I'm always trying to push different aspects. There's also like, if I read like the what's new, you guys know that SolidWorks gets updated every year. Yeah. A lot of cool features. And you're like, wow, that's a cool idea. And you forget about it, never use it again. The stuff that I do is like, oh, okay, I haven't used a flexible component before. Let's do a model of the day that involves that. And, then I learn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like, looking at some of the animations, and we'll get into all of these models and that stuff, but like looking at some of your animations, some of the stuff just blows my mind. Like, I can just do a rotate, maybe I can get some gears to work with each other, but I can't do like some of the flexible stuff that you can do. And I think what's really interesting about the content that you're creating is that you are able to, you're making this crazy stuff and sharing it out there, and then people are coming to you and being like, hang on, I've been wanting to do this for a while, and then they can learn from you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of, it's creating, you're inspiring people to create more.
Oh yeah, of course. And it just really goes to show that, at the end of the day, SolidWorks is a tool, and it's such a robust tool that you can learn it to the degree that you can design, I would say, pretty close to anything you want. SolidWorks is very good that when you master it, you can design what you want instead of the software driving the design. It's you, the designer, driving the design. And
yeah,
that's why I enjoy myself so much with it.
There's just so many tools, so many hidden things. Like, you can use SolidWorks to do one little thing, and you're using maybe 5% of its potential, and there's just so much more to it. Like, in where I needed to make a screw thread, and I had no clue how to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So I messed around with sweeps and lofts and doing all these weird and wacky things to create a screw thread. And then 2 years later, I found out there was a button for that.
Yeah.
I had no
Makes
clue.
a massive difference.
And I learned the amount I learned in surfacing and sweeps and 3D sketches just doing that.
Yep.
It worked out better for the end.
That's it. Like, obviously, Kirby's my local user group leader. Tuned into his last user group meeting. It was like, hang on a minute, I do frames all the time at work, like structural framework, and it's like, hang on, there's a new thing I never knew about that's going to make my workflow a quarter of the time, that's going to make me so much more efficient, and it means that I can just simulate stress in beams in about 5 minutes instead of taking an hour to do it. So it's constant learning with SolidWorks. Or
just don't tell your boss about these secrets, because
don't tell your boss, because you got to justify your wage.
Yeah, exactly. They don't need to know you can do it in 2 minutes.
I think we'll just keep that under wraps for right now.
Yeah,
that there's a trade secret. But I mean, you share your stuff a lot on I know you did YouTube for a bit, but most of your stuff is on Instagram. What led you to, obviously you're making your models to, experiment and play around and expand your own knowledge, but what led you to kind of share them out there and put this all out in the world for other people to see?
Yeah, for sure. So in short, I got inspired by other accounts in different fields. So I'm going to share my screen here, and I'll show you a couple of stuff that I think just really led me to start the journey.
Well. There we go.
That's all right, Kirby. I didn't want to be involved.
With that one.
Too funny. So can y'all see my screen?
Yeah.
I think they can.
All right, good stuff. All right, so it actually the first seedlings, the first ideas came when I was still in college, actually. So this guy, Zach James, I went to school with him, sort of. And what I mean by that is, I went to school to Case Western Reserve, and that's a school in Cleveland, Ohio. But right next to it is the Cleveland Institute of Art, and as part of the engineering program, you have access to all the technical stuff. I took a video game design class. let's just put it that way. Yeah, it was really cool. It was a collaboration between Case Western and Cleveland Institute of Art, and I got put in a team with this guy who was one of the artists, and he was a voice actor too, I believe. But I eventually followed him on Instagram, and he does this thing called his hashtag dumb dudes, where he just kind of it's literally. Like yeah.
Hey, don't say yeah too quickly, Rob. God.
Scathing. It took me off.
That was far too fast.
Straight at it. Like, yes, you're right.
Yeah, just straight up. Dumb dudes.
I mean, in this case, I'm also included in that group, so it also applies to me. Yeah, the three musketeers, the three dumb dudes. Oh my gosh! But no, there's this guy who makes an illustration once per day, and you can see he's been doing this for a little bit longer than I have. So this was like the first seedlings of this is where the idea came from. But at this point, I was like, gee, I would like to do something like that, like a model of a day, sort of. Except I can't do that because that sounds really, really hard, and I don't think I could sustain that. And turns out that's kind of right in terms of the way I was originally thinking about it. The breakthrough came when I watched this YouTube video. So this guy, his name is Mike, but he runs a bunch of social media accounts under the name of Beeple Crap. And this guy has been doing a render per day for 13 years. He has over 4,000 renders. His weapon of choice is Cinema 4D. But in this video, these guys, he goes to like the studio and they interview him. It's like, wow, have you ever missed a day? I'm like, nope. In 12 years, I haven't missed a day in my life. And like, how do you do that? And he explained that the kind of overall mindset you have to be in. He does all of his renders in 45 minutes or less. And you have to come to grips that some of your stuff isn't going to be perfect. And you just have to go out and have fun with it and just do it in a sustainable way. And as you can see, his renders are incredible. So that was really the breakthrough. And, I saw this video and was like, you know what? Fine. I'm just doing this and I'm just going to have fun with it, and I think that was the biggest thing holding me back because I'm such a perfectionist. And if you tackle something like CAD model of the day with a perfectionist mindset, I don't think I would have lasted a week. It's just like, okay, you've created something, somewhat passable. Just throw it out and just see what people think. And, people like it, and that's good.
Yeah. It's like, if you're forcing yourself to limit how much time you have to make something, if you're going to decide to make something complicated, you're going to force yourself to make it really quickly. And I think that will help speed you up each time. Because say, for example, first time you do a gear, it's going to take you 30 minutes to make that gear.
Yeah.
Then you look at it, the next time will take you 20 minutes. The next time will take you 10 minutes.
Yeah, and also, and that being said, that doesn't mean you can't do anything complicated ever. Like in my opinion, here, let me zoom in a bit. In my opinion, you can actually get more complicated stuff by having smaller projects. Like, for example, if you have never done gears before, don't start with this. For example, maybe start.
Dude, that's my favorite one.
Yeah, maybe start with something like this. Can I get two weird shaped gears meshing together? And that's it. It's like one mini task. And then once you figure out, okay, now that's a method, you can try and reapply it to something more complicated because now you're faster at it and you can get something like this to work. So it's just like kind of like the bite-size pieces. It's just all about being sustainable.
just trying to get that to work. Like, I can see how it works, but for me, trying to think about how to model that, how to get all the individual pieces together, how to put that into assembly, how to mate it, and then add those motions. It's just, I could do that. I just know it'll take me a very long time to figure out a lot of the key components. So I guess if you've done it for so many projects, you've kind of fleshed it out. It's kind of like if Jonny does his simulations for the rigs that he makes. I'm sure you could do one in no time. Where I don't do many simulations. I mostly just do simple products, little trinkets, little quick things.
I think you get used to the tool package you're using. So obviously Kirby doesn't do a lot of simulation. I do more flow simulation through pipe work, but it's part of my sort of daily role. Whereas Kirby's probably a lot better at sort of modeling from a screen than I would be. But it's just the tool package you use. But I mean, like I did a thing where I was putting something out for a week and was like, God, it's day 6. I can't really be bothered with this now. And you're on what, like day 220, or where are we at now, Rob?
I think today's 220. I'll be honest, I lose 220. Yeah, because I haven't done it for today yet.
Yeah.
I lose track of this stuff so much.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing to try and keep up with. But
I think I'd be too forgetful for a start.
Actually, when I started, I actually had an alarm on my phone. I had 2 alarms, one at 9 p.m. and one at 11 p.m. It's like 9 p.m. It's like, oh, you haven't started. You should probably do that. And then 11 is like, oh my God, you have nothing.
Like, put something out quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, just put a square out, it'll do.
Yeah, and actually, sorry, Kirby, you were going to say something?
So what do you have planned for tonight then?
I actually don't know. One of the things that I like to do with the project also is it also substitute as like a diary in some cases, like just to commemorate what happened on that day. So for example, this SpaceX launch,
the little dinosaur.
Yeah,
the dinosaur's the second coming.
Yeah, exactly. That was just too funny. But it's just like stuff that I want to eventually, like when I have a catalog of these models, I can look back and like, oh yeah, that was the day of the launch. So I guess something I want to do is something to commemorate me coming onto the podcast. I don't know what that's gonna be yet, but
you can make our logo 3D and like twirl because it's supposed to be like a galaxy.
Yeah, I mean that is up in the consideration, and if I do that, just throw you like a PNG GIF or a transparent video or whatever. You guys can use it for all sorts of stuff, just like I did for ordinary sausage.
I saw that wiener.
Yeah, you can't miss this wiener.
Yeah, the sunglasses are pretty cool. So like with that, you modeled everything?
I modeled everything from scratch. Nice. Yeah,
nice.
I mean, like you're going on how I see Danielle loves your little dino.
Yeah.
But like you're saying, you've got to. You're a perfectionist. You've got to make everything perfect. But you started to kind of put in your mindset that you have to make it as good as you want it to be, so you don't spend too much time on it.
Yeah,
I found that a lot with the props that I used to make, because they're being replicated from video games. Most of the time, people don't have that much detail in terms of the weapon. There isn't like any up close details or internal details. So sometimes you just got to make it up and wing it, or sometimes they will make a shape that blends into another shape that physically cannot be made in 3D in physical. It's just 2 shapes that kind of interlock with each other. So you try and recreate that shape as best as possible, or that mechanism as best as possible, and you just kind of wing it. And when I was kind of like, oh, this is going to look really rubbish, people are going to notice the stuff. They weren't. They were just blown away with the overall thing, because that's what they see. Whereas the creator, you see all the little imperfections, all the problems.
Yeah. Totally get that, Kirby. It's obviously like with my stuff, it's mainly like movie props and replicas, and the limitations of actually making something. You can't get 2 shapes that float together the way they did. You have to do the best realistic world that you can do, and people will still be blown away by it because they're like, well, hang on, I could have never achieved something that's as close to as that. So Like, yeah, they appreciate your massive effort that you've put into to get as close to as possible.
Yeah. I mean, so what I'm going to do, I just had a little brain fart. Okay. People that are watching now, head over to Rob's Instagram. Rob, if you just scroll down a little bit so you can see it's Virtual Flat CAD. Have a look through there, see what your favorite, find one that you really like and one that you want Rob to talk about, and then we can just throw that in the chat, tell which one you like, and then let Rob talk about them.
Yeah, and we'll give it 10 minutes or whatever and talk about it in a bit.
Yeah, and then you guys can get your questions of how he does it and what his favorite type of cheese is, or whether he likes Diet Coke or normal Coke or pineapple on pizza.
Diet, no pineapple. We've had this discussion, Kirby, remember? It got heated.
Yeah, dude, that's what it sounds like the pineapple on the pizza.
What
what's
are
your
you drinking
opinion on that, Rob?
Yeah.
What was that?
Pineapple
What's
on pizza.
What's your opinion on pineapple on pizza?
Keep pineapples for the pina coladas, in my opinion.
Good
Keep
man.
them off.
Good answer.
All right. Okay. I'm outnumbered this time.
Yeah.
I'll find some pineapple for lovers. Jonny, what are you drinking?
We'll not have them on. I have got some spiced rum and Coke today.
Oh, nice. And Rob?
I just
Solid red
got,
beer.
yes, yeah, the official. No, I'm kidding. I just got Corona Extra.
Oh,
And,
Rob's on the COVID.
bit of Jack Daniels as usual for me. Had to put a bit too much in it, but it's all right. It's Sunday.
It's all right, Kirby. I'm sure that soon enough they'll be sponsoring us.
I really hope so.
Yeah, that would be amazing. It would save us a lot of money.
Yeah, well, considering how much we had at World.
Let's not even go there. So yeah, for those of you that don't know, we met Rob at my first World, which was not last year.
I think the year before last.
It was
2019.
Last
last
year.
year's World, which was all a blur, like most of mine and Kirby's memories. But yeah,
I feel like with doesn't matter the amount of alcohol, could be none at all or a lot. It's just all a blur. Just so much happens in that short period of time.
Like Jonny and I always sit back and we kind of like, oh, remember when we did this? Remember we did that? And we try and figure out like what day was that? What night was that? When? And it's just one long thing.
We have this conversation weekly. We're like, what happened in February this year in Nashville? And we're just like, we have bits of memory, but it's sort of like we had that little sleep between being at the event, going out for drinks, being at the event, going out for drinks. It was like 4 hours sleep a night for 5 days. And Kirby's got a video of me just falling asleep basically in like some coffee shop somewhere. And it's like, yeah, dude, that's what 5 days of that does to you. Where it's like you show face on a morning, 7 o'clock, regardless.
Yeah, we use the buddy system to make sure we were both awake. If one of us wasn't awake, we'd phone the others.
Yeah, we would know straight away. Like one of us on a night would be like, "It's my night. I'm going hard."
Yeah, we would enroll people so people would ask us to call them.
Yeah, it's responsibly irresponsible. Perfect.
Yeah,
beautiful. That's the way to do it.
I see some people have highlighted in the comments. I saw one of them speaking about Goku. That was Drew.
Yeah,
I love that one.
Yeah, that is one of my favorites. And another point about just this whole project is just like doing it for yourself, because there are things that get popular. Mostly it's the mechanisms that get popular, but there's stuff like this. Doesn't get as much views that. I just really enjoy seeing it and making it. So yeah, I'd be happy to show you. Let me share my screen. Also give you a bit of trivia. So my April Fool's post, I want to say that's like 167 or something like that. That's when I do like the vaporwave version of SolidWorks.
You need to share your screen, Rob.
Thank you. Share screen. Share. Can y'all see? That's
Kirby, it's on you now.
That in. Yeah, boy.
There we go.
All right. So that's 130. You see, I lose track. I'm pretty sure it's around 157 or something like that. All right. If
You're doing better than me, Rob. Once it gets to the middle of the week, I lose track of the days. So you're flying.
Yeah, but there's this like vaporwave edition of SolidWorks. So a lot of people message me. It's like, oh, did you do that, just by video editing? And I will show you here in a sec. If I launch SolidWorks, no, I actually edited the registry files and the DLLs to actually mod SolidWorks in a way that it made it look like it was vaporwave. I mean, it changed most of all the other settings back. So that was just a little detour. Let's see if I can find Goku here. Goku. Let's see. I hope I have it in here.
We'll find it.
Dude, look at the folder structure Rob uses.
Mate, if you saw my desktop, like,
yeah, exactly. My desktop is 2 screens of trash.
That's 184.
So sometimes I'll just grab everything, put it in a folder, and then begin again, and then put it in another
you just
folder.
You just name it junk 1 may need one day.
No.
Yeah, please. I might have to. There we go. So there's Goku here. So whenever I do my flexible animation, so if you look at that, let's see if I can, sure, whatever. If I do this, you can actually see as the spheres like rotate around Goku, I guess here in a second, they actually change size as they orbit him, keeping the overall cloud shape. So that's part of like the flexible, kind of like the flexible things that I like to do with some of my with my animations. But yeah, a lot of people mistakenly think, well, oh, 2020's got a new flexible part feature. Surely you did it with that. And the answer is actually no. You can actually do any of this stuff with practically any version of SolidWorks, because what I'm taking advantage of is the cookbook nature of SolidWorks. Like when you model something in SolidWorks, you're just giving it a list of instructions on how to build the model. You say, boss extrude 1 goes here, and you fillet it. Okay, so if SolidWorks ever needs to rebuild it, it knows how. It's like, all right, first step this, first step that. Well, I do this in such a way where the steps, there we go. I do this in such a way that the steps causes things to change when I bring it into an assembly. And basically there's like a sketch in the part file itself that I morph around, that I move around in the assembly. And actually, even though this one is cooler, I want to show you guys the crate, because I think the crate is
that's the Crash Bandicoot crate.
Yep. Yeah. So
that was also mad, because like gears are cool, but the way you get things to flex is mind blowing.
Yeah. So the whole reason that this works is that I have this sketch here, and this one line controls the shape of the entire part file. So you can see right now it's got a little arrow, meaning it's looking for an in-context mate in an assembly, and that's what I move around to make it animate. But if I go ahead and suppress this, I can actually move it myself. And if I show, so if I make this line a little bit shorter.
Nice.
Yeah. So, whoop. And try to grab the little endpoint.
Careful, dude. You're flirting with danger.
Yeah, I like to live dangerously. Yeah, that arrow's looking a little weird. But yeah, this one line controls the warping of the entire part. And this is done like I'm in a part file right now. So there's no flexible component trickery. I just rig it that all these relations are with respect to this line. So basically this is the magic.
That is literally what my simulations look like when they go wrong.
It's like, where'd it go? Come back.
So your mistake is what Rob's doing intentionally.
Yeah, basically. When my lifting beams are like bananaed, Rob's doing that intentionally as like a cool thing. So yeah, nice one, Rob.
Yep. Yeah, that's that. So that's how I do practically all of my flexible stuff that I animate.
Nice.
Let's talk about Sato from PSO2. I don't know what that
Yeah,
is.
that was another
Like,
one.
I'm blind on that
Highlighted.
one.
Yeah,
Cherry
that.
Berry mentioned that one. That's right at the top. That's a recent one.
Yeah, absolutely.
A218.
Yeah.
Like,
So even though I just told you that I try and keep my perfectionism out of it, sometimes it does get to me. And actually, sometimes it is fun to spend a little bit of time just to do something you really love. And for this, I really wanted to model Sato as closely as possible, and I actually spent close to 4 hours on this one model. And that's just one of those things. Like I just feel like doing it. And
yeah, sometimes you just got to spend a bit more time on something because you're just having so much fun with it.
Yeah. And Kirby, you probably know this already since you do a lot of prop making. But eventually, I do want to 3D print this little cat here, and maybe turn it into like a housing for like a Raspberry Pi. I think that'd be cool. But
That'd be cool, yeah.
But if you're looking at this,
there's
good
a
luck.
perfect example of an impossible shape.
Exactly.
Like that could. I'm sure you had a lot of fun with zero thickness on that boy.
Yeah,
exactly. Good old
Get them
zero.
supports in order, mate, because you're going to need them.
Yeah. So, for at least for this first run, I just wanted to make it as accurate to the game as possible, and I just took a bunch of screenshots of it of like in different angles, trace it out as closely as possible. But of course, anything in the game world doesn't have to worry about zero thickness anything or infinitely sharp points. But yeah, I mean, I'm up for the challenge. I'll do that another day, and that's like the other thing that keeps me sane during this whole process. Is like, I think perfectionist me would worry about, oh, what if people say, oh, you can't do that with the thing because it can never exist in real life. Like, no, just like enjoy the modeling. This is modeling for art. If I want to 3D print this, I'll leave that as a problem for future me.
I mean,
yeah, exactly. Just
an
enjoy
idea
the
of something that
process.
you could use is like where those 2 points join. You can use a bit of like armature wire, which is quite thin.
Yeah.
It's what they use in like
what I would do,
animation, claymation, and that stuff. So it's a thin wire, but it's still quite strong, and it's it's something that you can make disappear very, very easily.
Yeah, you would only need probably a couple of mil join.
I'm gonna look into that.
Get a fairly good effect.
That's a great idea. I was like thinking about it a little bit. I was thinking about thickening up this area, but I kind of like the wire idea better. I'm gonna try that out.
Nice.
Yeah, because I think I can make an entire Raspberry Pi fit into the body here, and have this just for decoration. And pretty cool to put maybe an LED in the eyes and in the ears and have it like glow.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, but I just love the art style of this so much. This is comes from a Sega game, but it just looks like this cat was just made of like 2 brush strokes from a pen and from a paintbrush, and it just came alive in 3D. And
a lot of cool artistic kind of shapes.
So this one I spent a lot of time in. It's one of those that I know is not going to get a lot of views, but it makes me happy, and that's what it's all about.
That's part of it. You got to do some stuff that makes you happy to keep yourself going. Otherwise, you just start to be like, "Oh, this is starting to get a bit of a drag."
Yeah, like yet another mechanism.
Yeah, you got to challenge yourself to keep it.
Sarah brought up your Pokeballs, which I'll show. I've got them right here.
Yeah.
So these are quite cool as well, because this is something that you can make one of, and then just quickly flip out your textures.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
A couple of shapes nice and quickly. I made a 3D printed Pokeball. The idea was that you would print the red in red filament, the white in white filament, and the black in a black filament, and just glue it all together. But I made it a Christmas decoration, and that sits in our tree every year.
Very nice.
So we love Pokemon.
Oh my god! Yeah.
This is just like a simple one. Like that's a nice thing about your Instagram page, that you can just flick through it and just find something interesting.
Some really cool stuff. Yeah. I love that one. I love the vac form.
This is crazy, because this is a perfect way to explain to a client. They want something, but they're like, they don't know how it works, and they want something that physically can't be done. And you show them something like this, and you can show them exactly how things are going to get molded or things are going to get made.
Yeah. What do you mean I can't wrap plastic around my entire part? And you're like, you want to get it out, right?
You can't get an airtight seal around that in one piece. Why not?
Yeah, this vacuum forming. I think you're onto something here, because like you can simulate CNC tooling and you can simulate 3D printing, but I haven't seen much like vacuum forming of the plastic actually really going there without putting anything too complex on. But if you're able to create something, a simple model, throw it in there and it just forms the plastic over. I don't know if you can do that with this, or if that plastic is being kind of molded around a sketch.
Yeah, so it's a modeling trick. So it's not actually like simulating anything.
So you're breaking SolidWorks again.
Yeah, yet again. Yeah. So
tech support must hate you, dude.
Well, that's a secret. I am my own tech support.
You just ring them and they're like, just go away, Rob.
Yeah, exactly.
You did this. You fix it.
I just show them my screen. They see SolidWorks Vaporwave Edition. You're like, all right, I'm gonna head out.
Just like, you voided your warranty, go away.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but
I think what go for it.
Oh yeah, the vacuum form simulation. It's not a true simulation. It's actually generating material because the thickness is still staying consistent. But here's another tip of like keeping sane. If any of you want to try this yourself, if you want to use the CAD model of the day hashtag, go for it. More the merrier, in my opinion. But this one, I actually used a little bit of video editing to clean it up. So SolidWorks did most of the animation. There are 2 frames where the model fails and just goes all wonky. The thing is at 60 frames per second, if I just cut those 2 frames out,
it's not another one, a massive difference.
Yeah. So that's the thing. It's just like you don't have to make SolidWorks do all of the work. I mean, of course, it's going to be the centerpiece, but I could be banging my head just like figuring out how to get it to generate those 2 frames, but no, just like copy a frame over. No one's gonna look at it, I mean,
it's what they do in film. Like if there's a frame or two there's a problem, they'll just go into those frames and clean them up, and you'll never notice. Like I could see the little blip. I think it's somewhere around there where.
You got it. Yeah, it pauses just for a frame.
If you didn't tell me that, I would have not known that little blip was there, or that there was an error.
And that's the illusion of perfectionism. I being a perfectionist, if I didn't resolve myself to like Beeple's principles of just get it out there and have fun with it, I would be banging my head trying to fix it. I want that one frame, and I'm gonna die for it. Like, no, you're not gonna make it very far like that.
Yeah,
no, you just stress yourself.
No, so some of the stuff, like I can expect that took a lot longer than some things. I think like some of these things are just really, really cool. Like the texture on the dinosaur. How did you manage to do that? Because it looks like it's physical faces.
Oh yeah. So when I first started this project, I actually considered calling it SW model of the day, SolidWorks model of the day. I didn't, because I wanted to leave this open to other 3D software. There's so many out there with different specialties. I just wanted to.
You don't want to limit yourself to just being
one program.
Like you were previously called the SolidWorks nerd, so you don't want to be the SolidWorks nerd, because if you can spread out to other softwares, you can do a lot more. Like
to a wider
SolidWorks can do so much, but there's certain things that it cannot do.
Yeah, and or just things that other software is better for that particular purpose. Like, and this is one of those circumstances. I modeled the dinosaur in SolidWorks, but I exported it as a mesh with large faces intentionally to try and get the glittery, the facety appearance of it. And then I actually rendered that in Adobe Dimension. So that is a program that comes with, if you have like the full Adobe suite for like Premiere, Illustrator, it's just like, oh, just give me all of it. You get Adobe Dimension, and that is a rendering program. It takes STLs as input. So
that's cool.
So that's one of those instances where I like get an assist from another program.
Because with what video games will do is they'll make it all smooth, and then they'll use textures to make those blocks look like actual blocks. And that's what I was wondering: are those actual flat faces, or are they?
Or is it just a texture pack sort of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's actual flat faces, and yeah, Kirby, you bring up a great point with that. I'm sure you get that a lot. Even if you like you mentioned doing a lot of stuff by eye, that is an art form, but it's yet another art form that even if you're given a model, it's like, how do you transform it to something that you can manifest in real life? How do I 3D print this in real life? And I actually had to work around issues like that. Like I 3D printed a statue of Charizard before. I don't think he's around here, but I downloaded the model from Pokemon Stadium. There's actually a site that ripped all the models from Pokemon Stadium, and I got the Charizard model from it. The thing is, his wings have no thickness, and it makes sense because in game it's just flat polygons. Apply a texture. That's it. And actually, you don't want thickness because you're just going to make your game run worse if you do.
Yep.
But it's just like knowing the skills. Like, all right, I have a surface. Just thicken. Give it 1 mil of thickness, or whatever makes it look good and makes it print good, and it works out. But it's just it's an art form.
When I built the BFG for Bethesda for their Doom release in 2016, they gave me the actual game asset to kind of model from, and they're like, 3D print this. And the problem with that is that to cut it up and all that, because it's such a high quality 3ds Max file, I had to basically just take screenshots of it in different angles and then remodel the entire thing in SolidWorks to make it 3D printable easily. The other reason why I had to do that is because they had a lot of hidden textures and hidden just flat planes where, say for example, the gun flash from the barrel would come out. That would be just like a transparent flat sheet that would have that texture on it. So that would have that physical flat plane, that flat surface there and all over. So I had to get rid of all of that and try and do that. So there's a lot of tricks that they do in the video game industry of things that you don't see.
Yeah.
And then when you're trying to do things that you're going to make physically, you got to kind of figure that all out. Sky Captain was asking you got any good macros that you would recommend? I don't use macros. I don't use shortcuts. I just do everything the long way.
I
think I use Escape, and that's about it.
That's a good.
That's me panicking. It's like, no, stop. Mash.
Before we move on, let's all agree Escape is the most used button in any sort of CAD software.
Yes.
Mine is the off button when I get upset.
Yours is the off, mate. You're a rage quitter. Just admit it.
Yeah, but to answer Sky Captain's question, my SolidWorks is pretty close to vanilla as it gets. I don't use any fancy toolbars. I customize my right-click wheel for shortcuts. So there's that. There's like the shortcut toolbar. I put an extra few buttons, but the reason I didn't for the longest time, I was an application engineer that taught official SolidWorks classes. So I didn't want to fight against me knowing all those shortcuts where there's people learning. It's like, just keep everything as is. And number two, like if I have to reinstall SolidWorks or I have to hop over to someone's computer that has SolidWorks on it, and as long as it's close to stock, I should be able to use it just fine. So
for me, the most useful, it's not really a macro, but for me, I always use the search bar. You can actually search for commands. So whenever I need to find something, a tool that I know I'll use all the time, which is Split, which I have to go into the menus to find the feature and then find it from there. It's all winded. If I just go in there, I type in Split and I find it right there. I didn't know that existed until I played around in Rhino and I saw people could search for your feature there. I was like, sick. Maybe I can do that in SolidWorks. And I learned you can do that in SolidWorks as well.
Yeah, and I was literally about to mention that. And actually another thing that I do, like, there's a lot of people that I taught that, learn CAD the old school way, like where mouses weren't even used that much. It was like all keyboard. If you press the W key on your keyboard, it actually brings you automatically to the search box. You don't even have to mouse over to it. Yeah. So if I need a weird feature like indent or dome, W, dome, enter, it's up. So that is probably the closest thing to a macro that I use.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, it's one of those things where that's what I had troubles with learning Rhino, was that with SolidWorks you can you want to create a body, you look for the button that looks like it's creating a body. You look for the button that's doing the thing that you want. The same thing in ZBrush. You look for the brush that is doing the shape that you want. It's very easy. It's great for people like me. But Rhino, if you want to do a split, or if you want to create a body, you have to know exactly what that feature is called in order to search for it. So you got to have like a little library of words and terminology before you can even jump into it. I mean, SolidWorks, I was able to teach myself because I just looked at the pictures and the icons, and that allowed me to figure out how to make everything that I wanted to make.
Oh yeah. And now it should even be better than it was before, because in 2020, if you hover over a button, it will actually show you a mini like animated GIF or GIF, whatever you want, of like
Really?
it in action.
That's what it does. Nah.
Yeah, which I think that is, you know, that's going to be great for anyone who wants to pick it up, in my opinion.
Yeah, that would have helped me 10 years ago.
Yeah, that would have
it's definitely a good feature.
Like now, if you need to know how to do something now, you just hop onto YouTube, and chances are the answers are there. And the 3D Experience platform suffers from this because it's so new. There's no one out there.
We've talked about, haven't we, Kirby? Obviously,
all three of us
here are
Google.
Go on, Kirby. Go on.
All three of us here are what's called a SolidWorks champion, which basically just means we make cool stuff for SolidWorks, and they've recognized us, and you know anybody can actually apply for this if you go onto the Champions website.
Yeah. But shout outs to SolidWorks for that.
But I think for one thing, and I think Rob, you're doing this very well already, and I think this is one thing that all the champions need to do, is we need to start promoting the kind of like finding these errors, but not just saying, oh, this doesn't work, put it aside, just kind of figuring out why it doesn't work and how to get it to work, and start actually creating content
for people to use. Yeah. I think we've both said, haven't we, Kirby? Obviously, we both did Magic Wheelchair, and one of the gripes we sort of had with the SolidWorks 3D Experience platform, whatever, was if you Google a query, nothing comes up because it's that new. Whereas if you Google a problem on SolidWorks, you get about 30, 40 threads on the forums that say you can fix that by doing this.
Yeah, and if that doesn't work, there's a second, third, fourth option.
Yeah, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth option. But with the platform, it's that new and sort of unknown to people in our industry, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. There's still problems that people haven't publicly addressed.
Yeah, I mean, for every bit of software, like every piece of software I use, there's a bit of cheese in it. It's like, you know, you look at how it accomplishes some things, like that is really weird. I would never think to do it like that. But that's what makes what covers that in SolidWorks is just the massive community. That's one of its strong points. You know, it's just like mostly it's easy to use. There's some cheesy aspects here and there, but for those, you just Google it, like, oh, you gotta press this button first, or you just gotta pre-select it, or something. Yeah, and it's just something as simple as that most of the time, and you know, within a minute or two, you're on your way.
Yeah, so it's one day we'll get there. Hopefully, we can lead that way. But I want to go into a part called "Rate These Gears." Basically, I found, because you do a lot of gear stuff, I found a couple of cool gears and mechanisms that I found that I think get your little opinion on it. First one's going to be, actually the first two are going to be mine, because I have to flex a little bit to show off my stuff.
Self-promotion.
We're here to promote you, but at the same time, we want to promote us.
Yeah, I got you.
I'm shaking because I'm wobbling.
No, it's just a massive flex. It's just...
Yeah.
Just feel free to slay him, Rob. It's all good.
Go for it. This is something I made a while back. This is my first attempt at doing any form of surfacing or anything. It was an absolute nightmare.
Wow.
But I wanted to recreate this model of a guy pushing things, and I had to figure out how to do it in SolidWorks, and I created a little animation. This is like the extent of my animation. It's even terrible frames. You know, all I can do is a rotation, and then I can make them spin.
Dude, I don't even think I've seen this before.
That is so awesome. So, these like automata, that is like something that I definitely want to get into. And you know, I've seen, I love this, and I love your water droplet too. I think that automata is very, very cool as well.
I made a water droplet.
And like, like the little.
I've got a.
Oh yes,
I've got a feeling.
That's on my list. That's on my list of things to show you.
Oh, sorry, I jumped the shark.
Dropped you in it.
Yeah. What made this really amazing is because I had to physically 3D print this. Being able to test it like that in SolidWorks made it mean that I made it and it worked. So like testing animations and that stuff is great. I also did this. I don't know what flicked off the page, but Jerry Barnacles, he printed out a hand crank fan thing of mine that I made many moons ago, where he reviews it. But it's something that I saw someone had made a SLS edition of it, where you could come on, you can see ads now. Okay, let's go back to this one.
Oh no. Kirby's just disappeared.
We've lost
Hang on,
him.
it's all right. It's all good. Me and Rob will chat about my favorite animation of Rob's, and this is purely because it reminds me of a car differential. So talk us through the process of this, Rob, while Kirby's somewhere.
Yeah, basically, like right here.
He's back. Hang on, he's back. Okay. We'll come back to it,
yeah,
Rob.
We can circle back to it.
Okay, let's share my screen again. Yeah, because where I'm clicking on tabs, it's right by the Leave Studio button. And
yeah, nice one, dude.
Yeah,
dangerous.
It's all right. Me and Rob handled it like a pro. We were just like, right, Kirby's gone. It's fine.
Let's see if this thing will do. There we go. So basically, you turn the gear at the back, a bunch of gears work in the front, and the fan spins. It doesn't assemble very well. It's made in FDM. But the whole idea was I saw a cool SLS one, and I wanted to make an FDM version. And that I used everything that I learned in the Armature model that I made. I took into that, and it just meant that the gear side of it was just quick and easy. And I mean, this is I made a video about this as well, but this is a perfect example of a water droplet Armature thing where you can just.
I love this video. You look so
enthused about it,
alive.
So that's another perfect example of how to test things in SolidWorks, and this whole video that I made just kind of goes through that whole process. This is my boy Dan. So this is one of the most complex props that I've made, and a perfect example of parts that shouldn't exist. Basically, this entire reload mechanism I had to make up myself. So I'm sure you've had to do this a few times. You had to kind of figure out things yourself. And the first version of this used clips and everything fancy. And the second version, I used magnets, and that solved the whole problem. So I mean, that's the Downey Flex done. Yeah.
Yeah, very nice.
Are you all done with that, dude? Yeah. You all flexed out. Like, look at my swans.
Yeah. So I can make gears too, but this is one of my favorite gear things. This is something my boss made many years ago. Go on, go full screen.
Dude, you say my internet's bad.
Great slideshow, dude.
I know.
Yeah, like, dude. Yay. Everyone give Kirby a thumbs up in the chat for actually making full screen.
And it's all good. I'm a fan of Microsoft PowerPoint.
Why? What's wrong with one frame every 5 seconds, Rob? Have you got a problem?
Yeah.
I see. I see it going.
There we go.
Yeah, boy.
So great.
Yeah, absolute fact. 2 most important words in the human vocabulary.
Dude, we've just made it. We just made it on the Spotify, and you've already put us on the explicit list into this. Like,
this is the thing about this is the thing about Spotify is that they won't see this.
Yeah.
By the way, it says boob and poop.
Oh yeah,
there it is.
We were all good until you just like defined what was wrong with it.
Great. Yeah, very simple gear thing.
I mean, you know, these are the kinds of things that are perfect for that for model of the day. Honestly, it's just like do something that entertains you. You know, it's cool. Doesn't have to be overly complicated. Just a simple gear train, two spurs on either side. There you go.
Yeah.
Don't overthink it. You know, just do cool things.
Yeah, it's unless you want to create something over the top, like you were saying with the Sato, you spent a lot of time on that because that was something you're quite passionate about. You really wanted to explore that a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, yeah. Just jump into it and go all out if it's something that you really want to do. and you're going to learn something from it. A lot of models I've made, I've just spent way too many hours just figuring out how to create one shape.
Yeah.
Everything else I know what I'm going to do, but it's the shape that I've got to kind of mold and figure out, and I'll make it, break it up, fillet it, and try and figure it out. And once it's done, it's you feel great. And the next time you need to create something like that, it's half the time to actually do that.
Yeah, it's just when you do this stuff regularly, you'll be. It's just so astonishing. Even now, like how fast I'm learning stuff and just kind of pushing the envelope. Like it, it's like you said, it's like day 220 for me for model of the day. I thought I jumped the carp like jumped to shark like day 50 or day 60 or something like that. It's like this won't get any better than this. And then I try something new. I'm like, it's I don't know. I love doing the project so much.
So you were strictly taught SolidWorks. You were shown in a classroom how to use SolidWorks and how to design in that.
That's right.
How much of that knowledge do you use today, and how much of it is you just wing it and figure it out?
Well, I think just the very basics. Like I was taught to create material first and do all your cuts so you don't accidentally fill in holes and stuff like that. I think those very basic concepts I still use, but I would say that's like 50%, and the other 50% I am just winging it. Like what if I tried to animate the flex feature? Like let's do that. That's a place no man has gone before. And I'll try and do that.
Yeah, have you thrown any of these at SolidWorks and be like, can you put this in your presentation next year?
Not yet, but I was actually thinking of all the motion stuff I've discovered, because I did my my presentation this year. It was actually on mesh modeling, like if you get a mesh model, how to convert that into something in real life. So that was my first thing.
We get that a lot at work because we deal a lot with mesh models because we a bureau and we 3D print things for people. We just get really terrible STLs, and they're just like, make it work, and we're just like,
it doesn't work.
So SolidWorks has really been evolving for that, with the mesh body first. I think the real thing that is gonna make it more mainstream now is the fact that you can decimate meshes now. So if you get a mesh with a billion triangles in it, that's not gonna work in SolidWorks, because SolidWorks thinks differently in Blender about, for example, Blender about those triangles. Blender is just okay, point cloud, triangles, here you go. But SolidWorks is actually keeping track of much more than that. It's not only triangles, all right, here are the triangles. There's the normals. Here's the inside. Here's the outside. Yeah. This edge is neighboring this face, which is neighboring that face. It's so much information, that's why it bogs SolidWorks down, because it considers that much more information.
Yeah. It's literally how dare you have Google Chrome open at the same time? What are you thinking? You crazy fool.
Yeah, amount of times I get that. You're using too many resources, little message pop up, and then I close it, and it's no.
How dare you have YouTube on Google Chrome? You mad person.
I just get scared when I click and drag a mesh, and it's there's a lot of triangles in this. Are you sure you want to go through with this? I'm like, oh no.
You just go, dude, I know there's a lot of triangles. I'm asking you to do it. Just do it.
It just doesn't. It's not having it. Wow, it's getting really dark in here. How do you guys get your lighting so nice? I need to figure this out. I've got lights
my
on.
Electricity bill.
Yeah.
I got a ring
all my lights on, and it's just dark. I need
Rob's got a ring light. He's very professional. I've got
I looked at those.
the world's girliest chandelier.
Is that all you've got? I've got a spotlight.
No, that's all I've got, dude.
I've got a spotlight there and a spotlight there. I've got the lights from my thing. I've got the light from outside, and it still looks like, as Danielle said, I'm in a cave.
Kirby, I've got a word for you.
What?
Turn them on.
See, they're on.
Oh my god,
dude!
Kirby, where's the light going? I think you.
What are you doing?
Anomaly. Just the photons are disappearing before they hit your face. You could get a Nobel Prize for this, I'm sure.
I need to speak to NASA.
Yes. Yeah,
they've to be fair, NASA have let Elon have the go at it anyway. So I speak to him direct, mate. Cut out the middleman.
Yeah.
Well,
we could start off with how's it, Bew? How you doing?
How's he? You want to have a
we go talk about
quick
robots.
body, eh? Talk about robots.
I need to talk about. I need to talk to physics manager.
Yeah, Kirby's defeated the laws.
I absorb light. That's probably why I get sunburned so easily. I get sunburned on my toes.
Oh my god,
My toes.
That's the first
Surprised it
place I
passes
get
through the
sunburned.
hair.
And it doesn't just like go completely red. It just like spots.
it's a canary in the coal mine.
Yeah.
You see the spots like I gotta go in a cave real quick. Look out.
You are getting a lot darker, dude. Like, what's
Well,
going
the
on?
sun's coming down, so
Well, I've stayed the same. Rob stayed the same. I mean, he is in America, but
I need to sort this out. Like, I thought maybe the new camera would sort this problem out, but clearly not.
well, you've got some time to fiddle. We're just kicking off our journey on the core podcast.
Yes, we
So-
are. So
It's a fun journey.
I think that's a perfect little segue to wrap this beast up.
Yeah.
No, let's not use that one. That one's for the beginning.
Welcome to the core podcast. You're an hour late, bro. Where have you been?
The real podcast starts now.
All right, let's wrap this up properly. Rob, thank you very much for coming through. You didn't really have to travel that far. That's the beauty of kind of this whole kind of COVID situation sparked a lot of these kind of ideas, and people are starting to realize they can do a lot more from at home. And I think this is quite exciting to be able to create this podcast and get people like you from all around the world and other people like you from anywhere they are, and just sit down, have a chat with them, get some people to comment how bad my camera is, and have a great time. You mentioned it, and I think we're going to definitely roll with it. This is an environment that we want to create where we're just a bunch of dudes sitting in a bar, have a drink or two, just chatting about just what we do and just catching up. So if you haven't checked out Rob's stuff, I think it's everywhere. You're Virtual Flat CAD.
Yep, pretty much.
You don't. Do you still post onto YouTube?
Oh, I haven't in a little while, but I'm actually going to start streaming on YouTube. So, if you want to follow me there, I'm going to start streaming CAD Model today, because I'm getting to the point where I have so many ideas that I want to make videos. Like, I should just stream them so just people see it in real time. So
yeah, I mean, like,
hoping to have that up by next week.
The tutorials that I've done, I kind of call them like intermediate tutorials, because I do time lapse of the entire process. I don't tell people how to do it step by step. It's people that have some knowledge of 3D modeling and can just go in there, see what my workflow is and how I'll go from A to B in the overall sense, and then can kind of learn from that. So yeah, follow him. He's Virtual Flat CAD everywhere, on Instagram, on Twitter. Do you use Facebook much?
No Facebook. I kind of waned off of that a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it's too cool for you. It's only us old dudes that chill on it.
Don't include me in that, bro.
And Instagram is where you post all your model a day. I think that's where you're most active on.
Instagram and LinkedIn. I see Rob a lot on LinkedIn, so
Yeah,
check him out on there.
I'm not professional enough to use LinkedIn.
Yeah, we know. Don't worry. Give him a cheeky connect.
Yeah, I post on all my social medias, but Instagram definitely is the best place because it lets you post multiple videos, multiple images, and it doesn't throw a fit about it.
You don't have to think about what you're going to write. You can just throw a picture out there and be like, give it a like.
Yeah. Sometimes I try to make it
like
corny.
Like minimum effort.
That's why sites like TikTok do so well, because you don't need to read. You just kind of like look at it. You're like, nah, don't like that picture. Don't like that video. Don't like that face. Ooh, boobs. Then
what? Sorry, I woke up.
So give Rob a virtual round of applause for coming through. How are we going to do that?
Sorry, I asked them all to rate your camera out of 10.
Your camera is fine. It's the lighting. It is the lighting. Maybe I should change the batteries in them.
Number one Eminem fan says it's the lighting.
Yeah. If you don't know, Danielle is a big
He's
Eminem
a massive Slim Shady in the house.
Yeah, she loves hanging out 8 Mile in Detroit.
8 Mile. Yeah, boy.
But
thanks for having me over. I'm really honored to be in your first live podcast. This is exciting.
Yes, it's going to be fun.
Thanks for coming on.
we don't know what our schedule is going to be. We're thinking every 2 weeks, maybe once a month. We don't know. We're busy planning our next guest. But if you follow us on our socials, which is now this is the problem we've had, is that every one of our socials is different because we chose a very generic name. So on our Twitter, it's _podcast. Our Instagram is @thecorepodcast.contact. And our Facebook is @thecorepodcast, where the O is a 0. How original.
Yeah.
We are that good.
All
Basically,
of these all of these links and these to all of our socials are down in the comments below. No, in the description below. Comments is where people talk. I always get those muddled up for some reason.
you're smashing it, mate. Just
I
continue.
know, absolutely.
Just go for it. You're
Slay
fine.
wait for this. Wait for this.
Through.
We are now on Spotify as well. I managed to figure out how to do this without developing an RSS feed, which just seemed like way too much effort.
If Spotify have let us on there, they clearly don't know what we're all about.
So the link to our Spotify is down below if you prefer to listen to podcasts without seeing our faces. It's kind of tricky because we are showing off visuals. You can just use your imagination, I assume. You don't have to, you can then rate my camera 10 out of 10 because you haven't seen what my camera's like.
Imagination.
Imagine all the people.
No,
You could probably give us a guitar line at the back. I've got to get my guitar at some point. I could plug it directly into my mixer. That'll be great.
Yeah.
I'll make sure to mute him at that point. Don't worry,
I see
guys.
potential. It's okay. As soon as I start.
Oh no.
Done. I can just come right back.
Someone's found the mute button.
I know. Luckily, can I mute you, Johnny? No, I can't. I can.
Uh-oh, he's too powerful to be left alive.
No one mutes me and gets away with it.
But Rob, thank you very much for coming through. Thank you everybody for joining in the stream. I've enjoyed a bit of interaction. I think we are planning for our next one to be in 2 weeks' time, maybe around the same time. I think this is a comfy time.
It's a decent time for us and a decent time for the Americans.
Yeah. I'll see if I can sort out my lighting situation.
Yeah.
And if you have any suggestions, anything you think we can improve, whether it's the entire thing or just most of the thing, just leave it down in the comments. And see you guys in the next one. Thank you very much for coming.
Yep. Take it easy, fellas.
Bye.